The story of the Von Erich wrestling family is so tragic that when asked why an entire brother was completely omitted from the movie about their life, the writer and director Sean Durkin said that it would have made the movie just too sad. And after seeing The Iron Claw, I completely understand that decision because I personally had no idea what happened to the Von Erichs, who were an internationally famous wrestling family from Texas in the 80s and 90s. But I don't follow wrestling. I'd heard it was a really tragic story from some of my friends who do, but I didn't know specifics, so I got to discover this story while watching the film. And Jeremy Allen White probably said it best in an interview when he said that while he was researching for his role in this, it sounded like folklore. And it's so true. Like, I was in complete disbelief learning some of this stuff. And this is a spoiler-free review, but I have to be completely honest with you guys. I had planned on reviewing Wonka this week, but I thought that movie was very average and was just struggling to come up with interesting things to say about it. So when I saw The Iron Claw, I was like, wow, I have to talk about this, and I'm excited to talk about this because a lot of the people that I know in real life haven't even heard about this film, but it's from A24. It stars Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Stanley Simons, Maura Tierney, Holt McCallany. Again, it was written and directed by Sean Durkin. And if you're not typically into sports movies or wrestling movies, I encourage you to hear me out because this film is about so much more than wrestling. It's a cautionary tale. It often reminded me of Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler, another very, very tragic film. And what The Iron Claw gets so right as a biopic that sets it apart from others and makes it one of the best in a year that has been completely oversaturated with biopics is that it has a why, like a cinematic why. It's not just a retelling of objective happenings. It's not satisfied just being a trite exploration of legacy and masculinity in the sport. Sean Durkin, especially in the third act, elevates it to something incredibly hopeful, spiritual, and universal. And a lot of it is rooted in this framing device of a family curse. They're very superstitious about bad luck tied to the Von Erich name, and it's teased at the beginning of the film, but it stays light then. You're kind of in awe of their physical form. You get these crowd-pleasing moments like a training montage to Tom Sawyer. I love Rush. I was really happy that made it in the film because they had put it in one of the trailers. There's a romance with Lily James, who is great, and fun synchronized wrestling team-ups, for which they filmed entire matches to get the footage for, by the way. But then it hits this complete tonal shift where Sean Durkin says, yeah, whatever kind of movie you thought you were watching, it's gone. And it starts to subvert that all-American golden boy legacy that they seem to have and get deeper into their family dynamic, and all of these terrible things start to happen. And very important is the attention that this film draws to the mental health of athletes, but in general, male mental health and our societal notions of strength in men. Sean Durkin is very blatantly emphasizing how Fritz Von Erich, the patriarch of the Von Erich family, embedded the idea of physicality and victory in the ring as strength, only to weaponize that against them and make all of the brothers compete with each other, a lot because of his own feelings of inadequacy when he was a wrestler and failure to achieve what he wanted to. He's now trying to live vicariously through his sons. And it expands into this question of whether we can break away from those enmeshed family dynamics and create our own luck in life. And I really liked how it didn't feel like Sean Durkin was sensationalizing these things that had happened. And there was a moment or two where there were audible gasps throughout my theater, myself included, because you kind of can't believe that yet another thing is happening, but it's communicating the gravity of it without feeling manipulative, and that was so important. There's a point where it even treads into the surreal, which I really enjoyed. It was a risk. I don't think everyone will like that scene, but it was actually the part of the movie that made me cry, and it's really meaningful because it's actually based off of something that one of the brothers said. And the casting here is spectacular. I was very excited to see Zac Efron because I'd heard a lot of great things about his performance. And yeah, he holds it the hell down. I'd say he is definitely the main focus. You're at least processing all of this through his eyes. And I don't think I've seen him since Firestarter, which was a terrible movie. So this is just a really cool turn from him. And he's always been a very talented actor when he's given the right roles. But here he also has to play against his appearance because he's this beefed up, roided up guy, but as a person, he's soft-spoken, he's looking after everyone, he's not as competitive as his brothers, he's not as great on the mic. All of the leads have a different challenge. They do a great job making them individuals and developing their dynamic with each other. All of their approaches felt so earnest and like I genuinely got to know these people. But it's technically very strong. It's really atmospheric, the sound design, the score, and there's something about those wrestling shots where they jump off the cord or the wire or whatever, and for that split second, it's like they're flying. I mean, those moments are what reminded me of The Wrestler. I don't follow wrestling, but I'm very fascinated by the theatricality and artifice of it, like the storytelling, but so much of it is also very, very real. I think that makes it a really cool sport to kind of use in film, and it's kind of having a resurgence right now, which I think is very cool. And I think it can feel a bit long-winded at times. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes, so especially kind of towards the end of the more slice of life exposition that you get before it takes this tonal dive into just complete emotional wreckage. But at that same time, at times it felt a bit quick. I wish there was more of a sense of like how long there were between all these events happening. And with any biopic, there are details left out, there are details changed. I'm curious to hear from any of you who are fans of wrestling or who are very familiar with the story of the Von Erichs. If you aren't familiar and you want to know more, and I will say, it was cool to find out about the story while watching, but I don't think there's a better option either knowing about the story or not going in. But if you want to know more, people have been recommending season 1, episode 4 of The Dark Side of the Ring. It's all about the Von Erich legacy. I watched it. It was very interesting. But overall, The Iron Claw was one of the biggest pleasant surprises for me this year. It's just a solid, affecting film, and it's so nice to see when a director so wholly executes a vision like this and really feels like they were passionate about the subject matter and weren't afraid to get dark and add some of themselves into the film as well. And A24 is such a great company when it comes to giving that space to a filmmaker to do that. So I'm going to give The Iron Claw 4 out of 5 stars. It's going to be in theaters December 22nd, this coming weekend. So mark your calendars. I do recommend seeing this one in theaters just for that experience. Also in select theaters that weekend is Society of the Snow, which I saw this past weekend. I absolutely loved it. Like, I was over the moon about that film because I love the survival genre. When it comes to survival films like Man vs. Nature that are based on true stories, I genuinely think it's the best one that I've ever seen. So if that's playing near you, think about it. I think that one's getting a very limited release, but it's going to be on Netflix as well on January 4th. But Poor Things is out. Maestro is coming on Netflix on Wednesday. Ferrari is releasing. Lots of exciting stuff. I have a lot of catch up to play. I'm also going to try and do a December recap, and then we're going to talk about the best movies of the year. So stay tuned. Let me know what you think of The Iron Claw. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.